Ongoing COVID restrictions mean that, once again, Paris Fashion Week is taking place in the digital sphere. In the flesh fashion shows, interviews and parties aren't happening. Instead, buyers and journalists get to sit back and watch a series of films via social media. It's less than ideal, but it's interesting to take a look at how those films are made. For the first time, young Parisian designer Louis-Gabriel Nouchi is on the official list of the Paris Winter 2021 menswear fashion shows. 48 hours before his digital content is published, he's putting the final touches to his looks. Louis-Gabriel is a huge fan of literature. All of his collections are inspired by books.
The key inspiration doesn't come from any decorative physical object. It's all about books. We use books in a very concrete way. All the colours in the collection come from books. All the colours you see in the book, we've transposed that into a colour palette for the clothes. And the historical context of the book gives us a feel for the sort of era we're evoking. Also the sorts of clothes that the author wore. And then, of course, there's the universe of the book, and we try to recreate that. And then there's another layer to consider, the materials.
Chief among his beloved books, The Trial by Franz Kafka.
The Trial. For me, the book provides a link with all the big trials we've seen recently here in France, whether that's for the Charlie Hebdo attacks or police violence. And it's also linked to what we're experiencing right now with the COVID-19 vaccine. Administrative processes can be very hard to navigate here in France. We've been speaking about this for years, and we have to live with it day to day, and no one seems able to come up with an answer. It's kind of unbelievable. With Kafka's The Trial, we really wanted to transcribe that cold, harsh atmosphere. So a very sober colour palette, classic colours like black, white, beige, grey, so really quite safe colours. We also wanted to play with different elegant nuances of camel. We wanted to give that sense of being in an administrative office, with some felt, the cold metal of office chairs. We've also got a bit of luminosity with those neon touches. You see that in courthouses and French bureaucratic spaces in general. So there's also that green, very cool, very pale. You see a fair bit of that too. And there's also the suggestion of violence in this collection, hinted at with some of the finishes, or the way we've treated some of the heavy knits. It can be quite aggressive, and all that really adds something.
Louis-Gabriel Nouchi is a master of chic sportswear, with wool and jersey taking centre stage.
I create my collections by really feeling the materials. I make sure my clothes are comfortable. I want people to feel good wearing them. Clothes that make you want to show off and say, yeah, I can really assert myself wearing this. And actually, right now, that's a feeling that I think for many of us has actually been quite absent in our daily lives for almost a year now. We can no longer get together, touch each other. There's real social distance, and for me, clothes can go some way to bridging that distance.
Louis-Gabriel opted against using traditional models, instead getting dancers to showcase his creations. 24 hours before the big day at France's National Dance Centre in Pantin, just north of Paris, choreographer Sohrab Chitin workshops a modern ballet.
I'm fascinated by arms. I think dancers have extraordinary arms, sometimes even better than their legs. And I really pay a lot of attention to arms. As a dancer, I'm quite serpentine, and that's definitely thanks to my origins. My dad is Iranian, and I think I must have been influenced by that in some way. But yeah, what I'm really interested in is the upper part of the body, the arms, really. I find they have an energy that the rest of the body doesn't necessarily have. And I've been very lucky to have been a student of Béjart, who was also fascinated by arms, and also hand movements. And that was really part of his artistic DNA. My influences are the same as many contemporary dancers and hip-hop dancers. So krump, for example, anything that's really anchored in the ground, that's what I'm really interested in.
And the day has arrived. In a near-empty Palais de Tokyo, some 50 people are styling hair, finalizing makeup and perfecting lighting. The decor is a tunnel of one-way mirrors, a nod to Kafka's conception of the absurd. The spectacle lasts 10 minutes. It's filmed in a single take and posted to social media an hour later.
It's all very intellectual. Our brand's positioning is very intellectual. But we are still talking about clothes. That is, people are interested because of a beautiful jacket, because the fabric is gorgeous, well cut and comfortable, and because we, as a brand, hold certain values that we try to transmit, like honesty, transparency, the fact we have short distribution channels, that we prefer using natural materials, that everything in our boutique is organically sourced, that we've worked with the same people for years. So it's really about the team and our ethics. And what we do is a sort of an invitation to a discussion. It's a proposition, my take on what's happening in the world at a specific moment. And seeing it all through the lens of literature allows for a certain elegance. It's a way of not being too confrontational in what we do. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking.
Fashion is about fabrics, cuts and colours, a celebration of sight and touch. But its digital manifestation can be just as engaging.